The Flash in his full form seems completely unstoppable, but he isn't. There are many characters that would easily kill him in a fight, and today I'll be ranking them all, from the close fights to the easy kills. And trust me, the final characters will leave you speechless. Starting with the first character that would be a challenge for the Flash. Firstly, we're starting off with a ridiculous choice, but hear me out. Captain Boomerang. Yep, I'm not sure how many of you have even heard of the man. He really isn't all that famous. Captain Boomerang first appeared in the DC comic books and subsequently made cameos and small appearances in Superman/Batman, Public Enemies, Harley Quinn, Arrow, and other films in the DC Extended Universe. He doesn't have a movie of his own and has never been too popular among fans, playing unremarkable roles in the rare times he has appeared on the big screen. Prancing around in his blue suit that does rather resemble children's pajamas, carrying a boomerang in hand, Captain Boomerang may technically be classified as a supervillain, but honestly, the Justice League probably have bigger fish to fry. The man doesn't have superpowers. Yep, just a smart dude with an exceptionally high skill at throwing boomerangs around.
Sorry, mate. Looks like that one took a bad bounce.
Let's call it even, mate.
He's great with technology and makes high-tech boomerangs that explode or cut enemies with his sharp blades. But this is the DC universe, where villains like Mongul and Doomsday roam around. Captain Boomerang, compared to those villains, seems like the perfect cuddle partner. There's a reason this man never got his own movie. Wait, but didn't you say that he could beat the Flash? Yes, he could! Captain Boomerang might be weak, but we've seen time and time again that for some strange reason, he is an immensely formidable opponent against the Flash. Looking back at the old comic books and Captain Boomerang's debut in Flash number 117, the Flash literally takes an entire comic book to Captain Boomerang, who almost launches the Flash into space on a giant boomerang. In Flash number 124, our favorite Captain somehow managed to escape prison and get his hands on a time-warping boomerang, to the point where the Flash managed to bring him back into prison only because of crucial help provided by Elongated Man. Logically speaking, the Flash with his superhuman speed would be able to dodge Captain Boomerang's attacks with ease, but somehow he's shown that he just isn't capable of doing so.
Captain Boomerang.
We're gonna be rich.
No honor among thieves, eh?
And it's the Flash's apparent inability to effectively counter Captain Boomerang's attacks that puts Central City's favorite superhero at risk of defeat. Now, Captain Boomerang may stand a chance against the Flash, but his attacks are unlikely to be lethal. The man's mischievous, not evil. He may be a trickster, but he's far from some bloodthirsty killer. Don't get used to supervillains playing nice though, because while Captain Boomerang may not be lethal, Black Flash definitely is. All fans of the Flash would know that Black Flash is far more than just another speedster. He's literally the physical embodiment of the death of all speedsters. You just can't get cooler than that. Black Flash's entire body is pitch black with a classic speedster emblem sprawled across his chest in blood red. At all times, Black Flash has a blood-churning scream across his face that conveys pure, excruciating agony. Black Flash looks like he was taken from the eeriest horror movie of all time, and trust me when I say he's more than just good looks. Black Flash isn't a person in the traditional sense of the word. He's the embodiment of the mortality of speedsters, drawing his powers from the same speed force that all speedsters are born of, and into which all speedsters eventually dissolve. The origins of Black Flash are iffy. He doesn't have a father nor a mother, and it's debatable if he's even an independently thinking entity. He's been described as immortal, but really that doesn't do him justice. Black Death is the embodiment of the speedster's final supernova, the one who in the end takes the souls of all speedsters. He is inevitable and unborn, and hence can never truly be destroyed. His victory can never be overcome. It can only be delayed. We don't know much about Black Flash, where he comes from, or how he works, but we certainly know how he exists. And that fact should make Barry Allen quiver in fear. A single touch from Black Flash brings instant death. We know this because it was said by the speedster Max Mercury himself. Black Flash draws on the same energy store that all speedsters rely on and travels through time and dimensions with ease. He can also become immaterial at will, meaning no prison walls could ever hold him active. It was Black Flash who Barry Allen, Johnny Quick, and Max Mercury came face to face with in the times when they have been inches away from death. The Flash may have been able to avoid him thus far, but we know for a fact that Black Flash is always on his way. Now, how dangerous is Black Flash to Barry Allen? Could Black Flash beat his speedster counterpart in superhero combat? Many fans believe that Black Flash is an even faster speedster than Wally West, so that's a good chance that Black Flash and Barry Allen are comparable in terms of speed. Barry Allen himself, in The Flash Rebirth, Barry himself briefly turned into Black Flash due to complications arising from contact with relics of a former Black Flash.
You're a hero, Barry. You couldn't kill me before. You won't kill me now.
Confusing, I know, but since Black Flash is able to travel across time and dimensions, it's plausible that Barry Allen will one day come face to face with the Black Flash version of himself, with all the powers and wit he has, seeking only to destroy the Flash once and for all. Would Barry Allen beat the evil version of himself in a fight? No one knows, but the chances aren't exactly in the Flash's favor. There is a very real possibility that the Flash could meet his final end at the hands of the evil version of himself, the entity speedsters all around the universe call Black Flash. And on the topic of speedsters, what if the Flash went blow for blow with a man he's long treated as a brother? What if Barry Allen's own prodigy decided to go against his mentor? In a way, Wally West is Barry Allen's overlooked twin brother. He isn't underrated. Per se, fans of the Flash know of his insane powers, yet somehow it's always Barry and not Wally who gets the glory. Which is odd, because as most DC fans would agree, Wally West is the superior speedster. Wally West is the fastest speedster in the entire DC extended universe. This is a fact accepted by even Barry Allen's most passionate fans. Remember Black Flash? Well, in Flash Volume 2 Edition 141, Wally is chased and manages to outrun Black Flash. He quite literally outran death itself, a feat Barry Allen was unable to accomplish. It's universally accepted that Wally is the most formidable speedster that has ever, and perhaps ever will, roam the multiverse. Now, Wally may be faster than Barry, but that doesn't guarantee his victory in battle.
He's running at Mach 5, he's moving faster than you. But I know this city better than him.
If Barry somehow manages to catch Wally by surprise or ambush him while he's recovering from a major fight, Barry just might have a chance at defeating Wally. Barry's also the smart speedster. What he lacks in speed, he makes up for in a wit and fight tactics. Looking at Barry Allen's track record of victories, most of them really weren't won through his superior skills at unarmed combat. They were won through cunning tactics used to leverage on the weak points of enemies and hit them where it hurts. Barry also has a team of scientists behind him working constantly to enable him to become the best speedster he can, providing him with state-of-the-art technology that gives him options simply unavailable to other speedsters.
So the suit is inside the ring. You're supposed to put it on before it hits the floor.
It hurts. You know where it hurts? In my dick.
Okay, I know.
Given all this, Barry does stand some chance against Wally if he's lucky. But under all normal circumstances, and especially with Wally receiving new powers after being imprisoned in the Speed Force for so long, it really wouldn't be too difficult for Wally to turn Barry Allen into minced meat and return him to the Speed Force once and for all. Really, the only thing that could stop Wally is his own compassion. If he manages to overcome that, Barry's toast. But what you really want to know is what happens if Superman fights the Flash. Well, the answer isn't as straightforward as it seems. But before that, we need to look at someone who could potentially even kill Superman. If you've seen the TV adaptation of The Flash, you'll understand why Zoom is one of my favorite supervillains of all time. Zoom embodies the pure, twisted evil we see in the best of supervillains. It's as if they exist only to act against all our ideas of ethics and morality, working only for the sole cause of creating pain.
I will not die. What happens to you and your father is still to be decided.
As a child, Zoom watched his own mother die after being shot by his father and eventually developed an insatiable bloodlust. This led Zoom down the dark path of a serial killer, senselessly robbing civilians of their lives without rhyme nor reason. Zoom tried to erase the entirety of the multiverse for no apparent reason and paraded around Central City, masquerading as the Flash, pretending to be Barry Allen, just to inspire some hope in the hearts of residents that good would triumph over evil eventually. Zoom proceeded to defeat the Flash in combat and paraded it around Central City in humiliating fashion. Zoom barely had a motive. He just wanted to watch residents quiver in despair as their hero stood captive and defeated. Seriously, Zoom is scary. Really, really scary. He's the epitome of a psychopath, someone who cares not for money or fame and works tirelessly for the sole purpose of burning every last bit of goodness left on this earth to the ground, leaving only grief and agonizing fear in his wake.
Put her down.
You like to fish with bait. I do too.
Unlike Wally West and Black Flash, we don't actually have to imagine how a fight between Zoom and the Flash would go down. They fought not just once, but multiple times, and each of those times have been under unique and unprecedented circumstances. Looking through the times the Flash and Zoom have crossed paths, we get a clear indication that Zoom is significantly more powerful than Flash. He's faster and has far more raw power. He's stronger and more skilled in hand-to-hand combat. He's also exceptionally cunning. Zoom is an extremely intelligent villain and uses this to his advantage. Every time the Flash thinks he's made a breakthrough against Zoom, it always ends up falling according to Zoom's master plan.
Remnant stole my trick, Flash, but you're too late. Bye-bye.
Zoom, in his past confrontations with Barry, has absolutely destroyed him with ease. Zoom is intentional, spinning a spiderweb of lies, traps, and deceptions with the sole aim of killing the Flash in excruciating fashion. Eventually, of course, the Flash managed to defeat Zoom and capture him, throwing him into prison. Bear in mind, though, that this was under exceptional circumstances. Barry had trained hard in preparation for his fight against Zoom, but that wasn't what gave Flash the final victory. It was his use of a time remnant to disorientate Zoom, and more importantly, his immense rage against Zoom that pushed him to speeds he had never reached before and may never reach again. It was Zoom who killed the Flash's father, and it was this rage and insatiable hunger for revenge that gave Barry the boost he needed, allowing him to catch up with Zoom for the first time in his life. These were not ordinary circumstances. They were exceptional, and so was the Flash's performance. Zoom has been and probably will always be hell-bent on putting an end to Barry Allen's life, and despite being temporarily contained, continues to pose a huge threat to the Flash and his operations, not to mention his life. Zoom has what it takes to give the Flash a run for his money and test the limits of his speedster prowess. One wrong move, and Zoom could easily put an end to the man we know as Barry Allen. I promised you I would talk about this, and here I am. This isn't clickbait, Superman is on the list. Now, when I say Superman, you're probably envisioning the smiling, red cape wearing, wholesome guy we know and love. And you're not wrong. But how many of you knew that Superman is more than capable of sending shockwaves across the DCU multiverse for all the wrong reasons, and has done so in the past? If any of you have watched Injustice or read comics set in Earth 22, you'll know that in the Injustice dimension, Superman, among other heroes, ends up turning to the dark side, joining the ranks of the supervillains.
Superman and Wonder Woman destroyed every piece of military equipment.
Superman stopped a genocidal war the government of Ngota had been waging against its people.
In the Injustice dimension, Superman has all the powers he has in other dimensions, but uses them to wreak chaos, believing that supervillains must be eliminated no matter the cost and no matter how many people get hurt in the process. Spiraling into madness, Superman destroys Metropolis, kills the Joker, and goes on a tirade of chaos and destruction, unwittingly becoming a part of the evil he claimed to fight. We all know of Superman's powers, but one of the main things holding him back from reaching his full potential was his kindness. It is his refusal to kill that let other supervillains escape time and time again, and his love for humans that made him susceptible to manipulation and extortion. This is what held him back all those years. In Injustice, Superman has none of that baggage. He functions ironically a lot like the Joker, destroying anything that comes in between him and his goals without hesitation, and abandoning all notions of love and peace. This is the man Superman had the potential to become all along.
She was my world, and you took her from me.
Injustice Superman is Clark Kent's final form. Need I explain more? Barry Allen may run fast, but when skyscrapers and apartment buildings are falling onto him like rubble, and Central City crumbles like a house of cards in a matter of minutes, there isn't much the Flash can do to protect himself. And the Flash may be able to sprint, but he can't fly like Superman can. Neither does he have the insane levels of strength possessed by Clark Kent. Flash may be able to run, but it's only a matter of time before Superman catches up. At that point, only a miracle could save Barry Allen from the wrath of psychopathic Superman. And for one of the most iconic villains on our list, a miracle is exactly what the Flash is going to need if he intends to see the light of tomorrow. The Joker. Now, this is going to be a little controversial. I know many of you probably think that the Flash would beat the Joker. The Joker pulls off neat tricks, but the Flash is quite literally superhuman. Why on earth would someone like the Joker stand a chance against Mr. Lightning Bolt himself?
How about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. It's gone.
Undoubtedly, the Flash would land the first hit should the two of them ever have the misfortune of crossing paths. The Flash would land blow after blow, dishing out punches that would put the average human sound to sleep. But let's not forget, the Joker is no ordinary human. This is the man who's been in countless large-scale explosions, been sat on the electric chair, been shot countless times and dropped from high buildings, yet all of these attempts at his life have failed. What's jaw-dropping isn't that he survived, it's the fact that he walks out of all of these lethal situations with nothing more than a scratch and laughing harder than ever. They literally cannot find a way to kill him. Somehow, living up to his name, it's almost as if he has the ability to cheat death and remain unscathed in the face of incredible lethality and danger.
But deep down, everyone's as ugly as you. You're alone.
Can't rely on anyone these days. You gotta do everything yourself.
Bearing this in mind, I think our favorite speedster is in for a shock when he finds the Joker laughing wildly after being punched repeatedly in the face and taunting him more arrogantly than ever. The Joker is theorized to have zero regard or even enjoy pain, and this is precisely what makes him so scary. This uncanny love for pain is not something shared by the Flash. I can imagine innumerable ways the Joker would put an end to Flash's life in classic Joker fashion. He could catch Barry by surprise and drag him down a volcanic cliff, laughing all the way down as if the two men tumble into a pit of lava, or convincingly feign his own death death, causing Flash to let his guard down, giving Joker the perfect opportunity to strike. The possibilities are really endless, and with the Joker, nothing is off the table. His enjoyment comes from committing heinous crimes in the most eccentric and unconventional of ways. Let's not even talk about the Joker's insanely high intelligence, which is what has allowed his master plans to come to fruition.
I took your little plan and I turned it on itself because it's all part of the plan.
The Joker is no fool. He's one of the most intelligent characters in the DC universe and makes no secret of it. His cunning contraptions range from poisonous darts to acid flowers, pies containing cyanide, and playing cards sharp as razors. Once again, if anyone's a worthy opponent of the Flash, it's him. He may not be a speedster and may not be as nimble as Flash, but he more than makes up for it in agility, slyness, and an unexplainable love for what others would deem unimaginable pain. And while the Flash may have a team of genius scientists behind him, the Joker's gonna give the team at Flash's Star Labs a run for their money, to say the least. If you enjoyed this video and want to see everyone that could kill Superman, click the video on the screen.